Okay, hello, hello. Let me just set up here. I hope everyone had a nice weekend. I certainly had kind of a bit of a weird weekend. But yeah, feeling a bit tired today, but I do want to get the texturing done on this organ. So we're going to switch to our main screen. We're back in Substance Painter. I think it was on Friday we left off. We put the basic wood down. I haven't done anything fancy with it. It's just a base material with a bit of a color change. And there's a missing bit there. That's fun. There we go. So we're going to put the base materials on the rest of our components and get that out of the way. Yeah, let's probably do that. Let's get this keyboard done first. As a quick reminder, all of our Unreal Engine packs are still 30% off in the Black Friday sale, which ends on December 3rd. I am just putting a plug in for that because that's what keeps me going. That is my bread and butter. So if you want to support me, you can purchase one of those packs. That'll help me out greatly. Been doing pretty well this Black Friday. I'm really impressed with the results. Feel free to ask any questions in chat, by the way. And if there's something completely different you want me to show you, other than me being in Substance Painter, painting a very fancy organ, then I can jump away quickly and show you something else that's obviously related to Unreal Engine or my work or Blender or something similar. I would kind of want sort of some kind of plasticky looking material. Maybe not that. Do we even have like a basic plastic anymore? This is the fun part. Just looking around for what kind of materials you want. Let's put that in for now. It looks exactly the same as the other one. Let's see if we can tweak it. Let's isolate the keys. We want one that's white, we want one that's black. So this one can be our white key. And I'm literally just picking colors from this, which is my reference for the organ. Excuse me. Which is really good because I could just swatch whatever color the key is and put it on there. I don't like that there's so much noise in this texture. It's like, it's supposed to be more unified, I'd say. Doesn't look like there's anything I can change here that's going to reduce that. Maybe this imperfection stuff. No? Oh dear. They're all awful, aren't they? Wow. This one looks better. Wonder if we can change the shininess. We can. Just lower the roughness a bit. Lower the grain. Maybe keep it like a little bit. Oh, it's loading. How shiny is a piano key? Probably not that shiny. Let's duplicate it. Make a black one. All right. Our white key needs to be whiter, or like more yellowy. Consoles in the chat. Hello. Hello again. Let's see if we can put a bit more yellow in it. Oops. Not really doing anything for me. Just kind of annoying. Let's leave it like that for now. We'll come back to it. Just looks a bit too grayish. Let's see. Let's leave that for now and come back. Let's do, say, these pull levers. We'll probably use the same plastic. It wasn't too terrible. It is a bit matte looking. But you can change that. So now it's more shiny when you change the roughness. Now, this is also part black and part white. Maybe a bit too shiny. It's better. I'm going to duplicate it because I'm going to use the same plastic. I'm going to put a black mask on this. We just want it around this. And we want this one white. Another black mask. We just want it on this circle. Still feeling a bit rough, if you can hear me coughing a little bit, but it is the winter. Kind of want the front a bit more shiny than that. Right, let's leave it like that. Let's do these switches. So literally just going around adding just the most basic material on it. And then, as I said last week, we'll go over again and start adding all the fun details to make it look a bit more realistic. I think I want the same. Clear this mask. We go. Now this thing looks like a little electronic screen or something. Just gonna put a basic material on it with a fill layer. I'll lower the roughness quite low. I want to raise the metallic on it. That kind of gives it more like a glass appearance. Need to add a black mask on this as well. There we go. You have these little labels. I've got a closer reference than this. It is just a bit of plastic, I'm sure. Just like that. I might put these little screws on them as well, which I can do in here. I get the label. Oh, we've already made a folder. The labels, because there's more than one. Where's the clear? That worked. There you go. I'm just checking in the mask view. If you hold Alt and click on a mask, shows you what that mask is exactly doing. Which is nice when you don't know why it's not behaving. Right, we need a paintbrush. I'm going to search for my screws, which are, I believe, on my paintbrush here. I've got an assortment of screws that I want. I think we want this Phillips raised one for this particular label. Do want some angle jitter on it, which will give it like a random rotation so they're not all the same. Shrink it a little bit, change the size. Smaller than that. How about this? Wow, the resolution on this. But from a distance, not terrible. I do feel like I could have UV'd this entire model slightly differently and used a tileable material for all the wood. But we're doing it this way because it will at least allow me to have some sort of variance in the color. Because it seems like it's almost like it's stained. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like along all the creases and all the divots and things. It's like darker in those edges. Right now it's quite uniform, but we'll go back and we'll try add that detail, we'll recreate it. Right, where are we going now? We need to do this switch, these switches, and the bottom pedals as well. So we can do this little switch here. Again, I'm just copying the same plastic. Just putting some basic materials on. Sweet, that will do. Remove this mask actually. This has got like a chrome metal on it, if I remember. Like on this edge. Let's try that. I think I've UV'd this in such a way. Yes, I have. Can I get back there? Got it. Sometimes you have to wrestle with a camera. I wonder if I should have just... Yes, I should have. Should have just selected it all and then just removed the middle bit, which is going to be different. Put it in there, add black mask. Make that slightly darker. So I want to rotate it. And make it more matte. A bit more than that. Sweet. I wonder if I can put... We'll do that after, I think. Put some lines in it or something. Give it a little bit of detail. Now these on the bottom, I don't really have a very good close-up. They almost look like they're made of wood. But it's like painted black. I might be wrong. But that's what it kind of looks like to me. Wood. Let it load. Let's remove that. Add a black mask. Now we need to select all our little pieces here. Change the rotation. So go in the correct way. And I'm going to put a paint over the top. Let's put this one. Tile it differently. Don't like the glossiness. Bit less. Remove the grain. It's not too bad. Get a little bit of that wood look from the material underneath it. Sort of helps. We've got a few more components to do. And we can start going over and adding these details. I just wonder if there's enough resolution in this texture file to get what I want, to be honest. Which is really the only thing that worries me about this one. Like, will it look good? Need another metal. I'm just going to do this trim here, which is a metal trim. I'm not quite sure what material's back here, but it's just... I mean, it could all be metal, actually. It just looks a bit darker. What if I just make this a little bit darker? Not bad. It's just this foot. And then that's it. So I'm going to find another material for it. Not quite sure what I want. Put some rubber on it. Looks like there's some Z fighting going on. I wonder if I've accidentally put something on the mesh there. It's quite possible. Yeah. Whoops. I'll have to fix that later. That's funny. I wonder if that's on the export as well. I don't think so. No, it's just on this. For some reason, on my substance my substance model version has 2 feet in the same place, but we can ignore that. Oof, we want almost like 1. Okay. Let's save this. Let's do a quick export. Hopefully I can load Unreal Engine while I've got this open as well. Sometimes it goes a little slow, so forgive me if things get a little jerky. Because I've only got 32 gigabytes of RAM in this computer, and it doesn't really like it when I have Substance and Unreal Engine open. It's a bit of a RAM hog. It just depends how complicated the Substance file is as well, how many materials you've got, and how many... It all piles up, really. So let's see what happens. Okay, it's just loading. Let's give it a moment. Okay. Some of my textures might not load correctly, but and hopefully I'm still with you. Right, let's re-import our textures. We still have some things to fix on the model, but we can do that afterwards. They're not huge concerns. We can lower the intensity of this light. Or, because I was thinking of making a lamp for this. We want a spotlight. I think like a nice little lamp on it to highlight it. Might be a bit fun. Let's turn that off. So something like that. Maybe. Anyway, it doesn't look too bad. We're going to add all these details now, because this is the most basic texturing you can ever do. Chuck a base material on it and call it a day. We don't want to do that though. We're a bit better than that. We can do better. But it doesn't look terrible. Looks pretty good. Quite happy with how many bits are on it and stuff. I do need to re-import the model because it's missing these labels, so we're going to just do that quickly now. I don't even remember if I did export this one. I just need to re-export it. And re-import the mesh back in here. Give it a moment. There we go. We've got the little label things on there. Sweet. Not too bad. Let's keep going. Yeah, let's maybe lower that. I'm going to close Unreal Engine though, just so I have that extra RAM memory. We don't get much slowdown. Right. I want to do something with the wood to add like this color variation to it. Because when looking at this, there is some sort of variance between like light and dark. It's almost like the finish on it is doing that, like the stain or the varnish or something. So I kind of want to try and see if I can replicate it in some way. And I think I'm going to do that by just add a layer. And let's add a mask. If I can find it, add a black mask. We do a generator from the curvature. Okay, so that's sort of highlighted some of our edges. We want that darker. I wonder if I can select like a dark woody color from the reference picture. So something like that. But we want it to kind of blend a bit better rather than just be a, you know, we want some of the stuff that's underneath it on top as well. So we can change the blend mode and see if that gives us something close to what we want. If not, I'll just make it slightly transparent. I'm just flicking through all of them with just the up and down key. Just seeing if I can get something that looks, I mean, It's not. It's kind of what I'm going for. If we can tweak this mask slightly. I don't want the blur. Change the balance slightly. No. I think we're okay in the middle of the road there with it. There are some bits here which you can probably get in. We'll do another one. Instead of doing it by curvature though, we'll do it by ambient occlusion. And these are utilizing the maps that we baked in I'm trying to think of the name of the program now. What we baked in Marmoset. This is why I wanted to retain the model as much as possible, so we can get curvatures and ambient occlusion maps, which could help me in this part of the texturing. Alright, we're going to select a slightly different color this time, just to give it some variance. Let's see where that mask is going. Let's lower it. See if we lower this one too slightly. Might need to go in by hand to fix up some areas. As you can see, it's looking a bit more varied. It's defining the edges a lot better, and it's looking a bit nicer. I do think we need on the mask, we need a paint layer. Maybe find something that's a bit feathered. Not really spotty. Just to remove some of these really hard, harsh edges. Just sort of blend it a bit better in some areas. I don't want to do the opposite here. I lighten this bit. So if you look on here, it's light and then it's dark around the curve. On my other screen. Just slightly doing it. It's very subtle, but I mean, if you consider how it looked before, it just gives it that. I don't know how to describe it. It's like just like extra glitter to it to make it shine. It looks so much nicer. Let's put a bit of a darker edge underneath there. I'm not being particularly neat with this. It just, so it's not all completely uniform, that's fine. It's absolutely fine. Let's lighten up this bit a bit. If it'll let me. I mean, it is slightly. Cool, right? Very cool. So the masks and stuff, like the curvature and the ambient occlusion, gets you so far. It is always good to go in and paint some detail yourself. Simply to just get the exact result that you want. It's like here, it's a bit too harsh. There's a weird line. And just smooth it slightly out. I do wonder what it would be like if I had a tablet, or if that would be useful. I always feel like every time I used a tablet, there was like a disconnect between me and the tablet and the screen. If I had like a screen that I can actually draw onto, as opposed to a tablet that's on my desk and I'm looking straight at the screen, I feel like I'd have better control. But those things are expensive, and I wonder if it's worth investing in. I want to get rid of this little harsh line up here too. Move it slightly. There we go. Maybe you have a bit more of a darker edge in here. Just slightly though. Pop-ups. It's funny when you buy a program and it gives you adverts to buy their next version. Please. Let's highlight. I want to highlight this edge a bit better. Not bad. I know some people, when they say, you know, painting with a mouse is like painting with a brick. I mean, it does feel like that sometimes. Let's try to get like this edge a bit darker. Nice, not too bad. Bring the light around so we can see what we're doing. There. I think that's looking great. It's so subtle though. The whole thing is so subtle, but it just makes it pop. Remove that a little bit. It's got some nice dark corners. It highlights all the edges a bit better. We got all this. It just makes it set right into it. Because you could imagine when they built this organ that they used like a stain on the wood. And when the stain is wet, it would probably recess in these corners. And it will cause it to be darker in these edges. As opposed to where it's like thinner everywhere else. This, yeah, just to blend it a bit better. And a reminder to always save, because the last thing you want to do is have a crash. 3D programs love to crash. They always crash. It just comes with the territory. Blend that a bit better. Not bad. Just adding a little bit more darkness to this edge here. Just move it all over now. I'm doing it with such a light brush. I'm doing it with one with a bit of texture to it. Just so it's not like completely uniform. Nothing's perfect. I want want to darken like this a little bit. Slightly. Then lighten that a bit more. Maybe this. Wonder how much of that's... No, it's fine. Just a bit more on here. Just smooth it slightly. We're just doing it in this black and white mask. We could switch over and have a look at what we've done. Might help just slightly for certain areas. Ooh. Reset the camera anytime you want with F. Let's have a look at our base color. I think that's looking pretty good. Need to tweak it on the bench as well. We just stretch slightly. I always find myself getting closer and closer to the screen and not sitting in my chair correctly, which is not a good idea. Alright, let's do a bit more. It's not working. We need that. There we go. Not so happy about that. Correct it slightly. Still some little bits of errors here and there which we need to correct. Like this. Also want this a little bit lighter in the middle. And a bit darker in here, to be honest. Like there. Along these joints. Just anywhere you might think this varnish or this stain would pool. Just give it a go. Not all wood furniture is like this, so when you're doing it because of this reference, very clearly showing like the variance. Does really help though. So I can show. I can put that in another folder in the Word. We'll call it stain. To chuck that in there. Did that change? Yeah, it did. It's because of this, isn't it? Yeah. No, it's not because of that. Let's not put it in a folder. Well, let's turn them off. So I had that at the beginning, which was my base material of this wood. Then we added some darkened stain effect to it, using the curvature and the ambient occlusion as our little base. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Actually, very happy with that. Just gonna tweak it slightly up here. We want that. Yeah, not bad. Not bad, not bad. If I want to go back on it, I can do. I'll just finish off this bench. That's giving me anything. It feels like it's not. Oh, it is. Ah, it's another bit there we need to fix. And like that. Sweet. Not too bad. Pretty pleased. Pretty pleased how that finish looks on there. Just a bit here will change. Looks great. Slightly tweak that. Just add a bit of variance. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Let's fix this the other way. Give that a little bit of an edge. Just slightly. Yep, I'm pleased with that. I'm pretty pleased with that. Let's add like a little layer of damage. It's not completely brand new, is it? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find a different wood material. Let's put that. I wonder. Maybe this, maybe not. We'll see. See how it looks. Let's tile it a bit more. Then I'm gonna find. I think if we do like paint scratches. So I'm looking for a mask I can throw on it to get just some of like these edges to have like a little bit of a damage scratch to them. We want to flip it. So I wonder if I can just invert the mask. Obviously, that's a bit extreme. But we can lower it. So I don't like the direction this is going. And I want to blend the color slightly. So we're just going to do it on base color. I'm going to lower that just a bit. So now we've got some more defining edges, a few scratches. Am I planar? Not planar projection. Try planar. We don't obviously want it everywhere on all these edges. So we can afterwards just go over and tweak it. Just with our paintbrush, kind of like what we did with the stain. But we'll get it to a point where I feel like, just with the sliders, to a point where I feel like, yeah, that, you know, I can work with, and then go over it. Let's get some of these scratches looking a bit more defined. I don't know if that's doing much that I want to do. No, either way. Check how the roughness variation is. Can I change that? Yeah, I can. What if I put that on 1? When looking in this, though, this is like our... If I could describe roughness, it's like how smooth or sharp, you know, how smooth or rough a surface is. And it's defined by a texture map called a roughness map. So when you get some nice subtle variation in it, and the light hits it differently, you know, it kind of gives that illusion. Because nothing is pure. If you look around where you are now, if you look around at your surfaces, there is like some slight variation in it. And, well, that will make something look more realistic or less realistic. This song is a bit... Sorry, just tweaking the music. That was doing my head in a slightly. Let's add a paint. Right, now let's go over where the scratches are. Let's find a decent brush to use. Let's try using this charcoal-y looking one. We want to remove some stuff, so I'm putting it on. I think black will remove, yeah. Just want to go around and remove, because we want it everywhere. We want it, but not everywhere. It's literally captured all the edges, but we don't want every edge to have like this slight damage. And it starts to look a bit like a cartoon. If you have all the edges highlighted and all the... I don't know how else to describe it. It does just look like you've drawn it. It's like a line drawing. Not every object is like this, you know. There is variation in everything. Even scratched all the edges. But we just want to break it up so there isn't that uniform look to it. So we'll just remove it in some areas. But we'll keep some of them where we think it could happen. Like, this has probably had, like, the most use putting stuff on it. So maybe this is a bit more worn than the rest of it. But you can see already how, like I said before, how we started with these base materials and how we layer them. And we just keep layering and layering and layering. Just adding all the detail where we need it. It starts to make something look, you know, good to like more realistic. I'm sure there's other tricks and tips that I'm probably not like I've always said this, I'm not an expert in all of these programs. I'm sure there's some people who do a lot of substance work and that's probably their only job, just to work in substance, and they know a lot more about anchoring materials and other tips and tricks that I probably wouldn't know. But this is just how I would paint something. This is my method. It's probably not everybody's method. It's the one that works for me. I like to see something with everything on it first, and then I get a general idea what it would look like. I really like how this is just very edgy here. Get rid of this stain as well here. You can already see like how much more of a difference this one thing is affecting it. You can see me like moving the light around just so I can have a bit more visibility on certain things. I wonder if we can add light height to it. I think we want it inverted though. Add a level, I'm gonna change it to height. Did not like that, did it? Sort of what I want. Just so the scratches look like they're actually gouged into the wood. And you get that with the height channel, which we've just tweaked. So now they actually look like scratches when you see them hit the light. See? Maybe they moved this about. Someone's knocked into it. These little stories that you can think of, like what could have happened to this piece? Like how does it set in here? What would people use? And how would they use it? How would they treat it? I mean, how long's it been there? Just things like this, like help you have an idea of what it could possibly look like. Because obviously my reference is just like a pristine catalog photo of this object, and that's probably the best it will ever look, brand new. But this isn't brand new, is it? Not in my environment, not in my little world. It is not. So you can see here, it's chipping the wood a little bit. Time hasn't been too kind. Ooh, wrong button. Too much there. Let's remove some of that. I'm not being particularly neat with this. That's fine. You know, if you're being a little rough with it, it's fine. It's just how you try to think the words to like say why. It's just like, I mean, it's just kind of like what I said before. Nothing is perfect. But it does help break up just a little bit of randomness with your brush strokes. I'm really just looking at the object and just seeing like what to your eye looks right, what looks wrong. Like, I think that looks a bit wrong, so let's get rid of a bit of that. Just take a step back and just look at what you've done and see where you can tweak it. Do need to fix this wood here. I'm not quite happy with the back of the organ just yet, or the bottom. But we'll get back to that. Just cleaning up a little bit here. Right, we got these edges here. That looks overly damaged, to be honest. So, just gonna lightly brush up around here to remove some of that. Just make it a little more subtle. Maybe keep it in some bits. Just to break up these lines. Just to get rid of some of these scratches as well. Like here it's very decayed. We don't want it that decayed, to be honest. But we can soften it slightly. Don't really like under this edge either. Too much. Looking better? Say if I was making like a post-apocalyptic pack or something, you could really go heavy on like all the dirt and all the damage and all the grunge. But in my case, I just want to be a bit more subtle with it. Just want to remove some of it on here as well. Just slightly going over. Not really being too precise. Move a bit here. Not really liking some of these sharp edges to it, where it's just one continuous line. Let's break up those lines. Okay. How's that? So that's without the damage. It's with the damage. Let's get rid of some of it on this edge. Just to break up that line. So it's not uniform. Same with up here. So this isn't uniform as well. And at the back. Okay. This bit here too. Ow. Anywhere else we want to break up the line? Bit there, and a bit here. You see it? That's on with the damage. That's off. So that's how we had it before. You can see how already starting with the base material, adding the stain, and then adding some of the damage. How it's just starting to layer and layer and layer to become something that's a bit more realistic than just a simple base material. Just need to tweak the damage on the bench as well. So we'll just get rid of some of these scratches here. Break up again, just break up the uniform lines. Because really just with these masks alone, all it's doing is selecting all the edges in the curvature or the ambient occlusion and just making an approximation. You do want to tweak your masks when you put them down. Usually. I mean, I totally recommend that you do go over with a paintbrush and do what I'm doing. It does help. Ooh. What I'm doing there, just resetting the camera, is because sometimes it feels hard to maneuver around. So sometimes just resetting the camera by pressing F and just trying to go back to where you were just helps, because it's quite hard to see where this camera is like rotating and what origin it's rotating on. You can find it when you zoom in a lot. That it's just quite difficult to look exactly where you want to see, what detail you want to see, what part of the model you want to see. And I think that's kind of the same in most 3D programs where you're wrestling with the camera, like where you want it to point. So it certainly helps to like just reset the orientation of the camera, just so you can get your bearings again and not wrestle with the camera too much. The Unreal Engine one though, in their 3D viewport, I use something called flight controls, and I'm really used to using the flight controls. Like I always have it on without holding a button, so it's like the WASD. It's almost like a spectator cam in like a shooter, like a multiplayer shooter. You kind of just float around. I always have that on. I'm not sure if everybody likes that, but it's probably the best way to maneuver around a 3D environment. It's just funny, I use all these different 3D programs, and each program has a different way of moving the camera. It has different buttons to move the camera, so it does sometimes take a little bit of a minute in your brain to realize like what are the buttons to do certain actions. Let's get rid of a bit on the top. Maybe a bit on that edge. Aha, not bad. I'm pretty happy with that wood. I wonder if it's worth putting some, like a layer of like subtle dust that can gather in some of these little crevices and things. I don't know if I want to do that uniformly, like over the entire mesh, rather than just on one material, because I've separated everything into like different folders. So you've got the wood, this is its own folder. You've got like the keyboard and like all the switches all in their own little folder, which just makes it easier because they're all masked out in these folders. So if you add something to that folder, it will only affect that one element. Because you don't want like wood scratches on metal or plastic, because that's not, you know, it's not the same material. So I usually break it up into different materials, and that's why I did it. That's why it's the first thing I did. It selects each element that's made up of different materials and put them on first. So then when I do this layering, I can do it per material, per element. I will probably make another folder at the top as a global dirt folder to do like dust, because that would affect every material rather than just one. Instead of doing it for each element, just do it for the whole thing, like globally. I'm pretty happy with the wood though. That's starting to look well, more like what I wanted it to look like. You know? Just maybe our base wood could be a little lighter. But I'm not sure. Let's see. Let's do it with this one. And make this just slightly more vibrant. Wonder if that helps. Never get everything perfect, can you? I think that looks a bit better. Just subtly. Let's look at the base color. I'm pretty pleased with it. I don't want to touch more of the wood. We should move on to some of the other details on here as well. So I'm just going to go up the list. So maybe we start with the keyboard and go from there. Not quite sure what we want to do on this. I might add just a little bit of a color variation on it, because at the moment it is just a uniform color, black, white. So just like highlighting the edges with the plastic will certainly help. But before I do that, I am going to get a cup of coffee just to keep me going this morning. Just take a little short minute break. So I'll just leave you here, and I'll be back in about a minute or two. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Bear with me. If you guys like have any questions or anything, or if I'm going too fast, I mean, feel free to, put something in chat and I'll try and address it. Hey, just give me a moment. Oof. Let's wait for that to cool down before I start drinking it. I'll be stretched as well. Time are we on? We're on 18 minutes past 11. Well, actually, on my computer, it's 19 minutes. It's so funny. I have a clock. I mean, you can't see it on the stream. I have a clock down here on the computer, but I've also got a clock in the room. That I always look at the clock in the room rather than the one that's closer to. In the corner of the screen. Yeah, let's get on with the keyboards. We want to darken the white, but brighten some edges on the black. Thinking of a way we can do this. Put the white in there. There we go. I just want to affect the color, so I'm going to disable all of these. I just want some darker edges. I want to think if I do it on the curvature, yeah, it's exactly what we want. Just make it a bit more defined. Maybe like slightly blurred. Not too happy about some of these edges, but we can address them. What I want to do is, do I want to multiply it? Let's just lower it by quite a bit. It's subtle, but it's there. Kind of want to make this a bit more. I need to find more like an ivory color. Well, I'm ivory white, so I'm just Googling a color. Almost makes zero difference. I don't know, it's making a difference. Let's slightly lower this, say, to 20. I wonder if we want to make it just a bit more glossy. Those piano keys are quite glossy. That might be better. We also want to do the same for the black key. Let's do that. Black key. Just give it some color variation. If I can, actually. It's most certainly there. I think we want to invert it. Yep. And make this brighter. Really working? Oh, it's definitely doing something. Is it doing enough, though? We don't want to invert it, then. So let's undo that invert. Do it this way round. Just slightly. Maybe put it on 5, but then lower the color. It's really subtle. To the point where I can't even tell. I don't think it's that bad. These look a bit Toy Story to me. Like Toy Story 1 look. There's this horrible uniform gloss. Just trying to think how I can get rid of that. I think with like a roughness variation on it. But not too much. So maybe with like a purling noise. It might look good, it might look really bad. So we're just going to put a purling on our roughness in all of the keys. Just see how that's affected our roughness. It's a bit weird. Ah, I can see why. Needs to be tiled more. Change the balance slightly, and we're going to go on our roughness. I'll lower it. Should change the roughness on that black key as well. I'd imagine they're the same or similar. I think that's on 0.1, isn't it? Yes. Give it a slight variance. Okay. That's given us a bit more of like a grain or a bump in the reflection. Not... Let's see, it's increased the contrast slightly. It's most definitely there. It's sort of breaking it up slightly. Making it look a bit more... just a bit... less uniform, less Toy Story looking, more realistic. Even though it still needs a bit more work than that. But that's our first step. Like, if I have like a very sheen black plastic texture, I would always try to put like a noise on it. If like a purling noise does usually do the trick. So that's made it. I don't know if you can see it that well on the stream, because the compression might just make it look mush, but it just helps it slightly. I think we can also put. Let's put it in another folder, actually. Let's make our little damage folder. I wonder if we could put some scratches that only affect the roughness. Maybe the color as well. We'll think about that. We'll just put it for the roughness only, so it'll appear in the reflections. When the light hits it, you'll see slight slight scratches on the keys within the roughness. As you can see, I mean, it's a bit strong at the moment. If we go to our roughness though, it's very strong. So just lower that a little bit. So now you can see on our keys, do have a bit more variation in the roughness. I'm wondering if we should do that with the color as well, slightly. But change the way it's affected from the color. Maybe an overlay? Just lower it. Maybe like 2. I still think that's a bit too much. It's all subtle things. Not sure if I'm 100% happy with it, but it does look a bit better than what it did before. Still feel like this isn't. It just looks really bad. It's better. It's not perfect, it's better though. I think we do need to do a dirt layer pass on everything, and that'll improve everything like this. It's just that piano keys are just dull, aren't they? They're just really boring. Let's get my picture back up. Bear with me a second. I'm just swiveling around the model just to look at it. I think, what's our next one? We'll come back to the keys. Little pull switches. I'm just gonna drink a bit more coffee. Again, any questions, please ask. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. I think we should make these tips glossier. Maybe not. Might help though. Bear with me. Let's save this. I wonder if it's worth having a sneak look at how this looks in Unreal Engine. So let's export those textures again. Let's open up our Unreal project. Bear with me if it goes a bit stuttery. Just let it load. No, we don't need to reopen that. Let's go over to our organ. Let's re-import. We can tweak this light to have a source radius of You know what? It's not too bad. You can see that roughness variation is helping these keys. So when you get the light going across it, it's not uniform. Might need to be tweaked a little bit, but I think it's fine. From like a normal viewing distance, it's almost indistinguishable, but it being there does help. The wood looks a lot nicer. I think the wood looks a lot nicer. I wonder if we can get like one of our cameras in here. Have a nice good old zoom on it. Oh, it's a 14mm. I'll just steal this 50mm camera. Everything's going slow because I have low RAM memory because I've got Substance Painter open. Like I said, this is a 32 gigabyte machine, which is not really enough for Substance and Unreal Engine to be open. I just want this method. Can we track it to an actor? Sweet. Yeah, it's getting there. It's certainly getting there. It's getting somewhere. Obviously, we haven't done all these switches. We haven't done these pull bits. We haven't done down here. We haven't done the pedals. We haven't gone over and done like a slight layer of dirt. But I'm quite satisfied with the wood as it is. That looks a lot better. Ooh, yeah, that looks really good actually. The wood looks good. Everything else looks like crap. But I'm quite happy. I should have made a little booklet to put on there and put some gibberish on it. Tell you what I'll do though. We'll put a book on it. Or some books. It's a nice little blue one. Angle snap on, snip. Don't really like the pivot of these books. They're kind of just like on the bottom, but I always normally want to just stack them like this. So, yeah, but whatever. We'll make do. Let's make sure that's, yeah, let's turn surface snap off. Just put it above the thing. Maybe we'll put a couple books on it. Still need to texture these books properly, put some text on them. I literally took them from one of my older packs and tweaked the texture to put different colors on it. Yeah, I mean, it's looking all right. Still need to definitely finish all the other details. Still need to finish texturing some stuff on it. But I'm satisfied with the wood. It's always good to go back and forth Like, have a look what it looks like in Substance, obviously, you know, but it's never going to look 100% the same unless you calibrate Substance to look 100% the same. So it's always nice to go back to Unreal Engine and just have a look at how your material reacts to the light in that scene or in your project or in the engine in total, to be honest. I hope that makes sense. I mean, it's just always good to see how the finished product will look in the end, because this never gives you an accurate I can't even talk. An accurate representation. Slipping up on my own tongue, because it looks very boring and flat in here, because the lighting in here is boring and flat, and it's boring and flat for a reason, so I can see where I need to paint. I need like a uniform light, whereas in here it's much more dramatic. It's this is how it will look in the end, and the rendering's completely different and everything else, so I'm quite happy with it so far, but we can keep going. So I'm going to save this. Oh, maybe I'll take a picture. Maybe I'll do it after the stream. Post a picture online. I'm closing the editor because, like I said, RAM usage. They're an absolute hog on RAM. My older computer, the bigger one that I've got next to here, doesn't have a graphics card in it. It has 64 gigs of RAM, and it just runs just fine when you open absolutely everything. I just don't have the leg room in this one, because currently I'm using so I built a new computer this year, which is my travel PC, and it's using like a mini ITX board. So there's only a certain amount of slots you got of RAM, I think, you know, so I've only stuck 32 in it, and I wish I probably spent just a little bit more money to have 64, simply because I need that extra headroom, to be honest. But maybe next year I'll upgrade the RAM memory, just so I don't have this issue anymore. Right, we're gonna do the pull lever. I'm just having a sip of coffee and contemplating myself on how I'm going to attack this exactly, because I've got a really nice close-up. We're not going to put all the text on it, because simply I've just UV'd one of them and then I've copied them all around, because you could imagine like how much space it would take, and it would just be illegible with such little UV space on there. So maybe I'll put some sort of gibberish on it, or I just leave it plain. I'm not quite sure yet what exactly I want to do. Right. So we have our little pull handle, and I'm going to probably do the same technique and add like a purling noise on this, because it looks very uniform. But if you ever look on here, it does have like that speckly look to it. There's something we can try and capture with the purling noise on the roughness. Do need it to be at a high scale. Just gonna have a look at the roughness. I wonder if we can go beyond. We can. Maybe a bit more. And just slightly higher contrast. There isn't enough resolution to get it too detailed, but having just a little bit will help. Need to go on our roughness channel. Just gonna lower it so it blends in. Maybe higher the contrast. Up the balance, lower the balance. Just trying to get it to a point where we can see it visibly on our material. Only there slightly. But that's fine. It's just when you see it in Unreal and when the light like reacts to it, there will be some slight noise to it, which will help. Sorry, I'm still sipping this coffee. Just fuel to keep me going. Okay. I'm just going to work on this a little bit more as we are coming up to 12 o'clock. I believe I might be talking to someone later this afternoon. So I've got a meeting later this afternoon, which I want to get to. Right, what else do we want to do to this? We want maybe some slight color variation as well, just like what we did with the piano keys. So color, we want to do it with black mask. We want to do it with the curvature. Do we want to tweak that? Maybe 0.0. Yeah. We change the color slightly, so we maybe select the same and then adjust the vibrance. You can't. It's there. It's just so subtle, but it does help. I think it'll help more with like when it's like indirectly lit. It certainly does help. I'm gonna probably remove the. So let's name this. This is the Perlin Rough. I'm gonna add a black mask on that, and only have it there. And not on this face here. I think that'll just... Because I want this more shiny. More shiny? I want it shinier. Now, I don't know if I want to put any text on it. Just because it will appear on everything. I don't even think I've got anything I could just chuck on it for now. Not really. So maybe I'll leave it. I think I'll leave it for now. Maybe we'll come back to that. I'm kind of happy with it being just quite basic, just kind of like the piano keys were quite basic. Should probably put some of the scratches like we did with the piano keys as well. music. Okay. Scratch. Scratches. I think we just want it to affect the roughness. A bit too much. Yes. Such a small object that we too small for this. Not that happy with that. Let's maybe just do that to it. Barely making any difference, but I'll leave it. And I won't touch them anymore. Now, which switch is this? This is this switch. I believe it's this switch. Don't know, actually. It's kind of funny. Don't know what that one is. Interesting. I'll just leave that alone. That's that switch. This one up here. Not sure what that is, though. Let's maybe skip all those and just work on the foot pedal for now. I just hope there's enough resolution for this. But on the plastic bit, I want these ribs on it. Like these grooves. So maybe I'll do that by just making another folder within this folder. Then add in, it's a bevel line, I think it's called. Yeah. Into, we want it in the normal. Move everything else. We've just got this on the normal. Fun part. Where is my pedal? That's not it, is it? Find it easier if we just make it a bright color. There it is. So I want to rotate that 90. I want to make it smaller. Smaller. On the bevel line all the way. I want it thinner. I want it to repeat. Let's make it a bit thicker now. Let that load. Something like that. Go in instead of out. Remove the red. Oh, there you go. Just so it looks a bit more like our reference of the pedal. I think it could do with a few more lines. So we'll call this bevel line. Just bevel. Shrink it a bit more. Oof, maybe that's a bit too much. Just because we haven't got a huge amount of resolution, we won't do it too tightly. I think something like that looks okay. It's not too bad. Oh. Still need to add, like, it's that metal is so boring. I mean, it is kind of boring in looking at it. I just think it's very boring. It's almost got like a brushed quality to it, and this doesn't. Wonder if we can add that. Or maybe change the base material to something with like these brushed qualities in it. It's not too bad. Maybe style it a bit more. Brighten it. Slightly darker. Not terrible. I don't think it's great either. It's only subtly there. We just need some variation in color slightly. It is very shiny on the reference, so I'm wondering if we should up the roughness. Just wonder how that will appear in engine. Because here it just looks very crap, to say the least. I think it just needs that slight color variation that we've been doing. But we can do that based on the ambient occlusion. It's only slightly there. Lower the balance. Wonder if that's helping. Just a little bit. Not too bad. It'll look better in engine. I think it'll look better in Unreal than it does here. I don't think it looks terrible. We'll go back on it. Maybe add a bit of dirt. Someone's foot's been on it. Maybe they had dirty shoes. And like this has got a bit more gunked up. We can do that. I do want to add like these bolts on the pivot of it. Bolts or screws or something. Let's call it screw. You probably won't really see it from a normal. doing? Screw. There we go. So I'm just going to stamp them on back here, if I can get there. Maybe a little bit bigger than that. Wait, 7. I think there isn't much detail back here because you simply just don't see it. Ugh. Again, wrestling with a camera. I don't want it. Yeah. Probably not perfect. But if you do glimpse it, you might see. You might see it in the engine. It's just a little bit of a detail that's probably not necessary. But when you got the texture space to do it, why not? Okay, it's almost 12 o'clock now. So what I'm going to do, just to wrap everything up for today, in today's stream anyway, we'll export it one more time. We'll put it in engine. We'll just have a little oogle at it, and then I'll end the stream for this morning because we are coming up to lunchtime. So I'll take a nice little break. I do have a call this afternoon with somebody, probably if they're available, and I've got some other admin stuff to do, which is always fun. Right, yes, let's export this then. Export the textures. We've done that. Let's go back to Unreal Engine. I'm going to close this so we have a bit more RAM memory so there's no stuttering. So just bear with it. Okay. Let's open the organ material so I can get to the textures I want. And we'll just re-import them. Yeah, you can't really see it because of the lighting. But I think the metal looks a lot better in engine than it does in Substance. Obviously. Just because of the way it's rendered. I could put another book on there. It's a big book. They're all big books. Just dress it up a little bit. And then put that one on top. Maybe that'll look nice. Yeah, I think it would be nice to have like a little lamp on the side here. Like we've got here with this fake spotlight. Just to highlight this organ. Because otherwise, if I just take away that light... just turn it off. You know, it's only lit indirectly with bounce light. And we're putting so much effort into this one model that I feel like it just needs that extra special highlight. Yeah, probably helps. We still have to do the fun part, which is like the back of it. which is all the pipes and all that. Yeah, just all the organ pipes, which I haven't got around to doing yet. I've literally just got this block here to represent that. Let's pilot that. Yeah. It's getting there. I mean, there's not much difference from the last import we did with the textures because we've only done like some of the smaller details. Just wonder what those pull handles, if they look any decent. I mean, it's not too bad. Maybe I'll lower it and soften the purling noise on it a bit, because it does look a bit rough. But I guess from a distance it doesn't look too terrible. Yeah, I'm quite happy with it. I'm quite happy with this bit at the bottom. That looks really nice. We got our bench as well. Yep. I think that'll probably do it for today. And maybe I'll come back tomorrow, and I might be able to finish this later on this afternoon off stream. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow afternoon. No, tomorrow morning for the next prop. If I finish this, then we'll probably be working on the back of the organ next. I don't know if I'll stream the start of that, because it would just be a lot of preparation work of like gathering the references, and I mean, I have a few references, but a lot of it will be just gathering references, sizing up stuff. I don't know if that's any interest to people to see, because it might be a bit boring. So maybe tomorrow I won't do a stream in the morning, and only start doing a stream when I get a bit further along into it. But we'll see. We'll see how I feel. So yeah, I'm gonna call it there with this one. Quite happy with the way that's starting to take shape, which is really nice. Really nice to see. Because I was getting a little bit worried at first. It's just when everything starts coming together, you start seeing like what the finishing line looks like, and I'm pretty satisfied with it so far. Okay. So I'm going to call it there. These broadcasts are completely booty. I don't understand why they are watched less. Booty? I guess that's a good term. Why they're watched so less? Because, I don't know, I just started streaming. And I do it off the cuff. It's also the morning in England and not the afternoon in America. So I wonder if like time zone does affect these, you know, the viewership of these streams. I'm not really too fussed about the viewership at the moment. I'm just sort of just doing this for fun. And I mean, you know, if there's on the off chance that someone needs to ask me something, you know, it's much better if I'm here live and I can just answer and show people stuff. Yeah, I don't know how else to explain it. It's enjoyable for me, and the popularity of it matters less than my enjoyment. I hope that makes more sense. But I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad I'm actually doing something for someone that, you know, that are happy to listen to me ramble about painting and modeling and 3D. So thank you for joining. I mean, if you want to spread the word about these streams, like, you're more than welcome to. What else do I want to end on? I usually post on Twitter to tell people when I go live. I also post in our Discord as well, but I usually use the Discord just for technical help for the Unreal Marketplace packs that we do have online. Speaking of Unreal Marketplace, we are still in the Black Friday sale, so that's 30% off on all of our products, including that's all of our environments, really. So if you want to get them for cheap, now's the time to get them. I'm watching from Turkey. I work as a 3D artist in a mobile game company, but I like your work very much. I hope you can find the opportunity to work on computer games in the future. I actually worked. My first job in the industry was just working on a game. It was an indie game. It was like a survival. It was an online survival game, and I did that for about, I can't remember now, like 6 years or so. But that ended, and we started doing Prop House with one of my friends from that game, and now it's just me here doing it. So I have worked on a game before. I mean, sometimes these assets do end up in games because that's what they're for. Because they sell them on the Unreal Marketplace, so they do end up in some games. But it would be quite fun. I'd love to go back and work on some indie games with some of the old gang again. Maybe that will happen in future. I'm not sure yet. But I mean, they have my contact details. Loving the stream. Sat in the background working myself, so not really interacting much today. That's fine. But it's great. Keep it up. Yeah, I'd imagine this is sort of something you kind of just listen to in the background. Just very mellow, very chill. I love doing that while I'm working as well. I listen to like podcasts, and just hearing somebody else's voice talking about something while I'm working does just help a lot. Kind of glad that people don't find my voice completely annoying. I don't really like the sound of my own voice, but nobody does. Nobody likes the sound of their own voice, really. Yeah. Let's end on that. I could ramble all day. I do like to talk. I hope you all enjoyed it. So, hopefully I'll be back tomorrow, but if not, it'll be the following day. Hopefully I'll get this piece completely wrapped up so we can move on to the next one, because we do need to move on to something more exciting than a church organ. So have a good day, guys, and happy Monday, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.